morning. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing amazing. So today we're of course on Planet Cyrene, and we're going to be doing one of the Cyrene really common blueprints. Um, it's going to be the bonding liquid. I'm going to get a 1.5K run going on. Drop that down to 5. Boom. So as you can tell, super adhesive and sweat is used in this. So we're going to burn up a lot of the sweat. Um, I do not believe, yeah, this is not a perfect blueprint. We're getting there, but it's slow. And so I would expect this to go well. We should generate a good amount of blueprints, but who knows how well. Of course, like always, I'm going to set this up where we can see everything that's going on with the systems. I'm going to set it up so you can see the skills as they come in or as they build up. That's going to be weird. And of course, we're going to set it up to where we can see the blueprints as they come in. And so, like with all these runs, once we're going, I'm going to make my face disappear, but I will be set in here. We'll go over any blueprint that pops or anything major that happens, and of course, at the end, I'm going to go over it again. And so, let's get this going. I hope you guys are having a great morning. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, and we're off. Hope for some good stuff, right? So it's a little shocking we haven't got a blueprint yet. I would expect about 3 blueprints per one, well, 500 clickies actually. But with this blueprint, I really don't know how often it pops one, or which ones it does actually pop. for the record, this is not producing blueprints at an amazing rate. Well, at least we got one. So this is extraordinarily common, right? Um, that's not accurate. This would probably fell at auction, honestly. I usually trade terminals these out, and so it's not a rare blueprint. It's like one of the most common ones that pops when you're doing EP runs, even. And so, but we have generated one at least to this point. That's a good thing. And so let's hope that curves up because we should be getting about 3 per 500 clicky clicks. And so I would like to see a lot higher quality and more. Okay, welding wire blueprint. Honestly, they added all this stuff to it. I'm not even sure what I think about that. The markup is right now. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. I usually just save this stuff for a big run or sell a big stack to somebody, to be honest. So, but we're at least a little bit more aligned with the 3 blueprints per 500 clicky clicks, it looks like at this point. That first part was really worrying me. Like 0 blueprints by the amount that we were at happens, but it's always stressful. So now it looks like we're going good again. Okay, so we got more welding wire blueprint. It'll just stack, thank God, honestly. A long time ago, welding wire blueprint didn't stack, and it would be in random, unusable amounts, like not auctionable or something like that, because it had a good markup. But you would get a stack with like 7 clicks in it. Literally, that's not conducive to anything. And so I am glad that they actually made it a stackable blueprint. That non-stackable crap was ridiculous. And we have got some Ferguson all-purpose lube. I believe the lube itself actually has a reasonable markup. These, in small amounts, we like obviously will sell. I would be curious if the volume here is restricted by the offers or the buyers. You know what I mean? It's a 200% markup. And so, hard to know. Interesting though. Okay, so we finally passed the 500 mark. We did get 4 actual blueprint drops in the 500 clicky click zone. So as bad as it was going in the beginning, it still averaged up. And so that's kind of what happens sometimes. We obviously got like 1,000 clicky clicks left. And so we should get a good amount of blueprints. Now it could be redundant because I don't know the broadness of blueprint drops from this specific blueprint, but we should get a bunch more. By the way, a big goal for like the next little bit is that we get this to 6,000. Each time a score gets to 6,000, it represents a little bit closer to that 60 level industrialist skill that we need unlocked. So if we can get industrialist unlocked, that is the last percentages. Um, it's significant, significant. I hope you guys feel me on the inconsistency of the blueprint like dispersion. Like we did get 4 clicks in the first 500, but almost all at the end of that first 500. And this first 200 past the 500, we've got crap. And so, on average, I believe we'll get 3 drops of blueprints per 500 clickies. But honestly, the spread on these is insane sometimes. So we're just coming to the halfway mark. So far, we've got a basic bearing, which honestly I consider trade terminal food. Um, we've got 2 drops of this. I really am honestly still trying to think of what I think about this whole adding these new materials. So I do think it's fair to the basic overall ecosystem of the game, right? That the most used thing like this would include stuff from all planets. But in all honesty, this is so much material. I mean, like, this was already a lot of material, right? And if you pay fair market on blueprint stuff, that's 30 sweat going into each click, right? So I always actually pay 2 ped per K. I don't try to, because I sweated a long time ago. A lot. I still sweat. And so I don't like trying to diminish people's value on that at all. I don't do that. And so, reality wise, this is insane. Like to do a 1000 clicky click or a 2000 clicky click run, in which to really do well on most manufacturing runs, you have to have a large enough sample size to be able to have the chance at experiencing those anomalies like globals or high value blueprint drops and stuff like that. There's a chance that you could run a small sample run and you could get those, but I mean the window on that is crap. And so, like, because you know how you get like garnets and stuff like that from and rubies from some things to break down into the subcomponents to be able to upgrade the tier on things. Um, That's rare. And so you have to run a big enough run to actually have a window big enough to get that. And so, I mean, like, this is cool because I mine over here, and Zorn Star comes from here, and honestly, its value isn't that high. That'll at least move some of it. That dark Listerium bar, I wish they would have put a different material. Dark Listerium sometimes has markup, you know what I'm saying? And Narwhal Vials is really seriously like, I don't know. I think that the price of welding wire should probably be higher now by a chunk. That all looks like higher markup materials that went into this sample. Like, if you think about it, the Listerium and alternative ingots had like no market at all. And Osprey ingots don't have really a high markup either. Vibrant Sweat has a high percentage markup, but I don't like to count that into the whole like thing. I mean, I'll count the value, but not. So percentage wise, now you have to really think that that's weighted heavy as crap. And you have to basically double markup on any materials going into stuff, right? Because you're getting about a 42 to 45% if you have industrialist um, return. And so, I don't know. I'm going to make a large run of welding wire eventually. I'm thinking about doing it. The idea is that we'll take the total cost, everything, right? And we'll run a big enough run that we kind of have some kind of average cost analysis on welding wire, in which I'll share it. I mean, it's not useful for most people because we all have different skill levels, but I'll stream it so that we all know, hey, because honestly, there's outsourcing and insourcing analysis, and if it's cheaper for somebody else to think that they can do it at that rate, let them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you have to go with that philosophy, but reality wise, sometimes people think that they're successfully creating something at a value that they're not necessarily. And so without some kind of big scale analysis, you don't actually know. I would bet that the welding wire is expensive to produce right now. That's enough of that subject. Let's watch the thingy clicky clicking. I'm gonna have coffee. Hope you guys are having a great morning, by the way. I feel that they're being a little brutal with this section again. I'm sure that somewhere in this will pull up and start hitting again, but in all honesty, it's like there's an ebb and flow to this. I'm not really sure. I mean, like 100%, but I almost think that there's almost a cycle or something. I'm not really sure. Okay, for the record, they're being brutal right now. I mean, our success rate's okay, but our blueprint drop rate is horrible right now. Okay, so we got a redundant basic bearing, which we've already discussed. That is trade terminal garbage. Um, so that is what that is. And I'm not really super happy. Let's hope a wave happens because right now we've got 5 blueprint drops in which that is way behind. We should get 5 blueprint drops. Yeah, that's not the right amount. 3 blueprint drops per like 500 is what I would expect. And so I figured about 9 blueprint drops over the entirety of this run. Most of these blueprints have not been of value. Like, that's the other thing. And so, not really sure what I think about that. Not a big deal, but. Now, the bonding liquid itself, do you look at this crap? That's a lot. I don't know what it's selling for the reason, but I'll probably load a bunch of it in. I don't know. I'll put 10 pad in. We'll look at what's going on. Actually, let's look at what's going on. Okay, let's look at the monthly market, right? We know 87 pet of this moves per month. Ah, our little chart disappeared, guys. 87 pet of it moves a month, right? That was 14 ped of it at 152.7%. That's actually almost 153% markup right there. That somebody bought that at. That was 8 ped at 129%, right? 12 ped. So honestly, here's the see, we've got another blueprint drop though. So we're at 6 click drops, right? So if they give us 3 more, we're back on average. And so I'm gonna bet this guy messed himself over. No, 123% markup still. Look at this, you guys. I'm gonna tell you. Do you not feel that more or less once a week there's a sell for this stuff? There's a sell in the about 10 ped of it being in the market. And that sell is in the range of at least 125 plus percent, correct? Um, honestly, we're getting our butt kicked, but we'll recover. Like, I was thinking I was going to TT this stuff out, keep some, TT the rest, but because of the situation with the markup on it, let's look at this. It'll take us a couple weeks, but do we tempt fate and just see if those people didn't sell a bigger stack because they didn't have a bigger stack? Like if we have a 20 ped stack, does it also sell? Do we tempt fate on that? I don't know. I'm kind of curious what the limiting factor in the market is. If it's there, is there a purchase volume of that much? I'll put a stack in there. We'll find out. So they're still being a little brutal, you know what I'm saying? But, well, they're just being brutal on that stuff. But we found some good stuff out, and I'll show you that at the end too. Like, honestly, I'm kind of excited about this. We'll see how it goes. More welding wire. Oh, that's a good stack. So we were at 97, what, like 50 something pad? I mean, peck? Like 53. Okay, flip this on. We'll visit about the stuff. Good morning, by the way. I hope you guys are kicking some butt. Um, we'll wait for the statistics to, say how bad or good it went. Um, what I do think is fascinating outside of this stuff, right, is what I didn't realize, and we'll have to look. Really bugs me that happens like that. Okay, so we're gonna look at the monthly market, and I'm gonna show you how this goes over. If you track sales on this stuff, right? And I'm not sure why these people exactly they're selling like 8.13 Pedworth right there. That's at 129% markup. Well, almost 130% markup. Almost wonder about that. There's 12 Ped at 144%, 9.5% markup, right? Um, it looks like we have intervals of one sell per week about. This guy, I think, lowballed himself. I'm going to just straight say that. If you look at this, in all honesty, because within the 7-day stretch, probably around him in both directions, there was a sell markedly higher. And so if he had set this for 7 days, so here's my theory on this right now. I'm going to look at how much of this is actually in the auction. I don't actually know. Because we were running this to pop blueprints, right? But my belief is there's actually probably an appetite for maybe more than this amount. And I'm not sure if it's being limited by the amount of people putting it in or if this is the actual demand. You know what I mean? And it's hard to know. We'll look at the auction house afterwards, but at 148% markup, that's actually considerable. And I'm going to show you partially why. It's not a lot of sweat that's going in here. And granted, you guys have to concede that I don't have a 100% blueprint. I am fully qualified on it, minus having industrialist, right? In which I'm working on that, but that is definitely a process. Um, so we're not getting a perfect run yet because we don't have a 100% blueprint for one. But if it's really 140% or even 135% markup, super adhesive is yellow crystal refined. That's all it is. And so literally yellow crystal has an amazingly cheap markup. These guys are trying to make money. Look at this. So that's smart. Oh, see, they're not over gouging very, very bad. But see, that's the same thing. When you refine something, there is a cost on the refiner, so I'm not going to say that that's not. So, in reality, if you come do the daily mining mission on this planet and you're mining, you're going to get yellow crystal. It's pretty common. It's like Zorn. It literally is a common material. And so, you can get it at a cheap, cheap markup. In fact, I almost think that they should have put the yellow crystal into the welding wire over the Zorn, but I guess Zorn needed more useful actual uses, maybe. I don't know. Glad they didn't put something super ridiculous hard to find, right? So, outside of that, the blueprint output on this has been horrible. That part's not gone good. But the fact that it has such a high markup is kind of interesting, right? So let's figure this out, right? We know that this is 6 peck per click, right? And I actually pay 2 ped per K. So what would this be, 2 like peck? No. I'm not awake yet, you guys. Is it 2 peck? I don't want to have to do long division in the morning. I'm going to find my phone and make sure, because I don't want to be a decimal point off. Oh, and we got another blueprint. See, so it's welding wire. It's putting out a bunch of welding wire, guys. And it's not a bunch even. If I run a EP2, I would expect to get a similar amount of welding wire. But I would expect to also probably do a little better on the blueprint running. Just to be honest. This at least has a 200% markup. But we're not trying to sell those. Okay, so let's double check this. I'm not awake enough to give you guys factual math on stuff that is important to be accurate on, right? Okay, so we're a peck. Oh, no, times 2. Yeah, I pay 2 ped. I mean, yeah. Okay, so 2. So it's 8 per thing. 8 per. Let's figure this out then. 8 peck per click. Hmm. I would be very suspicious that we got our butt kicked. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, no, for sure we got kicked. Even at that markup, let me look. Yeah, no way in crap. So we got our butt kicked. Just gonna let you guys know. This was not a positive run. And so, this would be about, well, no, let's wait until that we have the statistics. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I see what's here, and honestly, I don't know that that matters really that much yet. Because, but technically that should have been like a 120 ped run with the cost of the sweat. And so, let's find out what happened here, right? Let's make sure I'm accurate on what I'm saying too. Yeah, just want to make sure, guys. Okay, So I would bet that this is pretty severe as a loss, to be honest, now that we know the actual cost and stuff, right? Would have took 120 ped to run this run with the cost of purchasing the sweat at 2 ped per K, which is what I did. And so let's see what happens here. Kind of curious. It might say that we didn't get our butt kicked so bad. But here's what it's going to indicate. It's going to indicate wrong because it's going to give me the trade terminal value back on this sweat, right? And any sweat that it gave us back, we pay 2 ped per K. Right? What can you do? Okay, right here. We'll know the damage, you guys. That would be our butt kicked pretty good. What did we get in sweat? Let's try to back this out. Did they keep track of that? Okay, so that would be 10 ped. So I mean, well, almost 12 ped actually. Do we get bonding liquid? So I would say we substantially got our butt kicked. I mean, 120 ped with an 85 ped return. That's pretty brutal. It's not horrible, um, but it wasn't a perfect blueprint. I'm not really taking into account that part, but no, we got our butt kicked. And so we'll be taking the markup on these. I would be making these only for yourself if you needed to make them, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. If they had a much higher markup, it would be different. Let's check and we'll do the experimental on this and we'll find out if people do buy these at a, but I'm going to keep the amount I think I need. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was not impressed with that. So this guy has that much for sale, 12 ped, right? That's a reasonable amount. So we're going to be in a different grouping than him because we're not trying to compete against him, but we're going to recover part of this. And we're going to check to see if a 20 ped amount of this would sell. I'm not really sure it will. We're not going to match his price right there, right? Because that'd be weird. We already know the market will buy this stuff at 125%, right? Let's think. Where do we set a point that's reasonable for a large buy? That's because in all honesty, we know we're losing our butt even at 140%. So let's set it there. We'll recover maybe 28 ped. This might be an auction value, guys. You never know with this kind of weird stuff, right? Now, the rest, legit, we're going to throw in here because we actually did need about 1,000 or so of this anyway. It's just unfortunate that it's that costly, and I'm not happy about that, but you know, it's reality. Um, Outside of that, we did get to improve our blueprint a little bit. We found out that that does not pop what I would consider good blueprints. I mean, just because the value basically on these is 0, right? That's trade terminal. I'm going to get rid of that too real quick. And then these blueprints we're going to save for later. Honestly, I don't have a direct purpose for that all-purpose Ferguson stuff yet. But the overall goal is that we don't know what's valuable yet because we're waiting for that whole update in which they load the new blueprints and they're loading the trees and the furniture and stuff like that, right? And so that's a hugely important thing. I'm just getting everything off me. I have to fly back to Calypso to restock stuff because stuff keeps selling from my store. And so basically, at this point, I was going to call it. I do want to thank you guys for hanging out, being epic, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Hope you global kick butt in your escapades. Let's go ahead and find somebody that is actually streaming Entropia Universe, and I'll get you guys over to them real quick. Well, by the way, if you guys haven't seen Planet Cyrene, it is freaking fun as heck. Now, yes, the blueprint we ran today wasn't a happy camper situation, but the hunting on this planet and the dailies are freaking off the chart ridiculous. And honestly, once they do the update and add the trees, which my understanding is going to be somewhere near that Miners Island stuff or something, I don't know. Um, it's going to totally change this whole thing because the apartments will go live, new blueprints online and stuff like that. And so at that point, we'll find out exactly what we think. I gotta set a destination. I like avoiding the. There's a nest of creatures out here, right? And asteroids right there on the way that way. I don't like going through that. Hold on one second. I was pulling up somebody. Man, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Okay, so I'm seeing somebody is absolutely streaming, and they are streaming Entropy Universe, which is always a absolutely important thing. By the way, of course, this is blah blah blah. This is why we always clear our stuff. You'll notice though that this is PvP zone, not PvP lootable yet. You know what I mean? It will be soon though, by the way. You guys have a great day.